of the Frostburg Board of Elections to order. It is Wednesday, June the 1st, and the time is 2 o'clock. Present are
Mary Ann Lutz.
and Kitty Davis.
They're working. Okay, sorry.
It appears as if we are beginning with the Canvas schedule. Elizabeth, do you have?
Yes, I drafted a schedule for Wednesday the 8th, Thursday the 9th, and Friday the 17th. It's obviously open for your suggestions and edits.
Let's take a quick look at it. It's perfectly okay for staff to open the return mail envelopes. Present is?
Don't know.
Okay.
So sorry.
We're just starting on the schedule, done. And we're talking about the fact that the staff is going to open the return mail envelopes, not to be confused with the ballot envelopes. They will not have access to the ballot. The only other thing I noticed is that oath, we can either take it verbally or sign one,
Okay.
whichever you would rather do. It doesn't really.
One question I had regarding the oath. Do you want additional staff people here to help with just the overall process, or do you think that's going to be?
Okay, and that could be because of the number of ballots we're getting back, that they could come in very useful in a clerical position, and as such as being just strictly clerical, they do not have to
Okay.
be sworn in.
Okay, gotcha.
Unless, if it gets to the point that we are totally bogged under,
Okay.
and we're going to have them step into our process, then we can swear them in at that time.
Okay.
And as I said, you don't have to do the verbal swearing in,
Okay.
just signing.
I can make that up as a signature page then.
I think it would be easier.
Yes.
And then plus you
And,
have it.
and that way we have like a public record or written record of,
Well, yes, you have it for the
The
next
oath.
election to remind yourself that, oh, we need to do this.
Mhm.
Okay.
With the schedule, on Thursday, the 9th, that original calendar that I put out has the Board of Elections convening at 10 a.m. on both days. However, on Thursday, work session is in this room at 3 p.m. So we'll have to be
Sure.
wrapped up and have everything put away by 3 p.m. So I am suggesting that we start at 8 or 9 a.m. on that Thursday, so that we just have more time if needed.
sure, that's fine.
Is 8 okay with you, Kitty?
Oh, fine.
Okay. And then on Friday the 17th, I didn't know if you wanted to leave that blank, depending
It
on
may
how
be
many.
necessary.
Yeah, if you need to start at 8 or not start until 10 or 11, just depending. Okay. Would you like me to make this official and post it on the front window?
I have something that I'd like you to look at.
Okay.
Thank you.
I am under the assumption that we will possibly have observers.
Okay.
Keep in mind that they are observers. They are not challengers. They're here just basically to observe our process. I took the Canvas process and made it a lot less detailed. And I didn't know whether you would want to possibly post the less detailed or whether you're more comfortable with posting this whole thing.
So this is on the website now, this
So
document.
I think we're
but-
good then. I was just thinking of this possibly to hand out
Mhm.
to anyone who does show up. so that we can,
Yeah.
you were told this in the beginning. The only other thing that I was thinking, we do need a sign-in sheet.
Okay.
It's very lax. You know, and with this Canvas process, I thought possibly we can tell them when we're beginning step 1, beginning step 2, you know, so they can keep track and determine whether they're coming back or not. Are we going to count in here? Or are we going to count at City Place?
I was planning on doing it in here.
In here, so we just need a section that's for observers, and I think what this will do, they can't interact with us, nor can we interact with them,
Okay.
you know.
There's
Yeah.
no air conditioning in City Place,
I
so
know.
that's a little bit of a
Who
gamble.
even knows?
May I suggest you wear something that you're comfortable in, because
Yeah.
you may be spending a lot of time on your feet. Just because of what it is. This is totally up for change. It's just something I went through.
Well, I mean, it seems logical to me, and it seems to cover,
Better to tell them up front.
right, especially the thing about you're only here to observe, you can't talk to us. I mean, I don't want to even speculate about the possibility that people would be
They're just, they're
complaining.
just
or-
here to make certain that we are counting every ballot, that we haven't.
Right.
I can move many of these chairs into storage, because I expect if we have observers, there's not going to be that many, and then bring some folding tables in just for additional work area. So,
That's a good idea.
As I said, if we see we're being bogged under, there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
yeah,
And that, at that time, you can swear them in.
okay.
We'll be able to call it by noon on day 2. I mean, call
Yeah.
whether it's going to be a possibility or whether we need to
Oh,
venture
whether
into
we
day
need help,
3.
yeah.
I don't think we see anything in conflict with one or the other.
Will you be prepared to make those announcements on the canvassing day, or do you need me to do anything with that? This would be sufficient.
Don't you think?
Okay, and with the schedule between the two of them, it covers everything. The one other question I had about the canvassing logistics is, we have the live stream capability. Do you want to live stream the whole canvassing process? And we can do just video, or we could do video and audio.
I'm intimidated by video and audio
Could we
because
just do video? How do you feel about that, Katie?
we are permitting observers. If they're really interested, or want something, then I think they can come hear us. The other thing is we have to be very, very careful and show no partiality or, oh, he got it. How many votes has he got? I mean, it's something you're very tired and you get very tired of doing the same action. It's so repetitive that sometimes you'll say something you really shouldn't. If challenged, I think we can turn the audio on, don't you? But
Just do video so people can see, or,
basically, they're not allowed to talk to us.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
So,
We just need to proceed as no one's there and do our
Yes.
job.
yes. And there may not be anyone there, but there can't be a lot of in and out and back and forth, because it's going to distract us.
Yeah.
And, if we can ask them to leave.
Well, if
A
would have-
warning's good, and then the second time, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to leave.
If we can have video feed, that just is, transparency.
Yes.
I
And-
agree. For
I may, I've never done this before, so I could be quite wrong, but I feel like that wouldn't necessarily inhibit us or,
Yes.
make it difficult for us to do our jobs in any way.
I think, yeah, that based on some questions I've gotten about being anonymous, and I'm like, well, you know, questioning why their name was on the voter envelope. And I
yeah.
said, but it's not affiliated with your ballot, and the Board of Elections is very intentional that that ballot is not associated with the envelope it came in, and they don't look. And it was kind of like, yeah, right. Well,
If they've ever voted absentee ballot, they've done the same thing.
Yeah. And if you watch, you see how it's
Yeah.
done, that you don't know what, as you take it out of the envelope, you're not looking.
I had 3 people talk to me about that, and I was
Yeah.
like, we're not going to see that.
The other thing is,
Just very,
after you separate, make sure you have 50 envelopes and 50 ballots, because oftentimes, even with 50, you don't get one out of the envelope,
right.
and that happens.
Okay.
So, you know.
So it would be, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you. So it would be the staff who were going to do that.
No, the staff is opening the mail envelope. We open the
We
ballot.
open the ballot envelope. Got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
We could use staff to use the letter opener to make the slit, and then a Board of Election member takes the ballot out, because that was an ordeal. It's just
It was.
all the letter opening, envelope
It was.
opening.
Yeah, I'm sure that adds up after about the first 1,000 ballots.
Never have before, just because of the fact that law is specific that the ballot envelope will be opened by the Board of Canvassers.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
you know, unless,
all right,
Okay,
that's
all
fine.
right. I was a little confused by
you can get on
staff,
a roll.
but it does say here return mail, so.
You know, even if we just get that first process done on the first day,
Yeah.
we might be good to go, or pretty much good to go.
Well,
Or
if that happens
even
on
if
the
we get
first
them open
day-
and the mayor race done, because you're going to have very little segregation there.
Yeah.
Are we, I'm sorry, I'm full of
No.
stupid questions because I've never done this.
You're not stupid.
If we, well, that remains to be seen. If we have sorted all this stuff out and we have piles started and it's the end of the day, I mean, do we leave all that stuff here?
No, if you
We
look
can't.
to, kind of like number 7.
We'll lock it in this room, and we can use tamper tape on the doors.
All right, that was my question. Okay.
I've got it right here.
Okay. All right.
That'll be the first thing, probably.
Oh, if we're going to put this up or make this public, number 8, observe needs to be observer.
Can you email that to me, Kitty, so I
I
can
probably can.
make that change and print them off? The only other thing on this schedule is I do have this asterisk and saying it may extend beyond the time listed or on to Friday, June 10th, based on the volume. So
You know,
the
that's something
chair,
I'll just decide before everybody parts ways.
yeah,
Right.
the chair of the Board of Elections will make announcements during the canvassing process of any anticipated extensions.
My thing is as I said, so repetitive and so you get tired very easily.
Okay,
Okay.
so the canvassing schedule is no longer proposed. You guys are,
Okay, so I think, are we done? The process document?
yeah, the other 2 sheets of paper are just the final versions that you approved last month, or last time. It would have been last month. So that's just for your reference to have a clean copy.
Okay, and review of the ballot now.
So a few everything, I think has gone smoothly in terms of the ballots being mailed out. There's been a few hiccups. So one is the residents of Wanks Lane were not listed as in the city because they all have 5-digit addresses, but a few of them are in the city, a few are
Okay.
not.
Mhm.
The reason that got caught is on the city list, one of the deceased people on the city's special list
Mhm.
got a ballot because we don't have, we weren't able
Yes.
to confirm that. And it was received by a nephew, but then the nephew did not get a ballot. So on the precinct register, I do have an official document from Diane at the board saying that these addresses have been added to the city's roster.
That happens, and see, unfortunately, with your 90-day list, you're seeing who's on it, but you're not seeing who's not on it.
Exactly, and that's what, we checked for people that aren't in the city,
Yes.
but it's very difficult to look for people that are in the city that aren't on the list
And-
without sophisticated database tool, which we don't have.
In theory, when all this started, any 5-digit number was out of a municipal boundary. That's how it started. And then when it hit the Garrett County line, those 5 digits went to 3. So if you had a 3 and it was up there, then you knew it was Garrett County.
Okay.
If you had a 5, you knew it wasn't in a municipal boundary. And somewhere along the line, that just didn't maintain.
Yeah.
And you can't expect, because they have to go change their deeds and that type of thing, so you just have to make exceptions.
Yeah, so that is the only issue I'm aware of people not getting their ballots.
Okay. We're very fortunate.
There's a few that came back that I guess the mailer missed, they didn't get postage, and we sent those back out. Husband and wife, one would get it and the other didn't. So we, sent replacement ballots to those people.
The only problem with that is, did they both have the same address?
And I looked on our list and they did. Yes.
Because sometimes you'll have a husband and wife, the wife changed her address when she renewed her driver's license, he hasn't done that yet. So no, he wouldn't get one
Yeah.
because he didn't change his address.
And then another person came in today and they went through the whole address change with MVA,
See?
husband and wife, but the wife didn't get changed and they've
Oh.
already gone down to the Board of Elections and filed that paperwork. So I gave her a replacement ballot
Yeah.
and have her name, so I'll check with Diane to make sure it's all good if she's registered to vote in Frostburg, but
Yeah.
I know the person, so, and I know they live in town, so. But then the only other issue is the mailing list was generated. So we have the precinct register.
do.
But when the mailing list was, which has like the place of residence, but then we have the mailing list that has the mailing address.
Yes,
And so that was generated separately from the precinct register. And I don't completely understand it, but all voters that will be able to vote in this year's election got a ballot in the general election. So there's a handful of people in Frostburg that are 17 that got a Frostburg ballot, but they are not on the precinct register. So we will know who they are. But something when that mailing list got generated, the dates weren't selected right by
I was
the
just gonna
election
say,
board.
yes.
And I didn't specify that because I didn't know to. So,
I feel badly about that because yes, as long as they're going to be 18 on or before election day, they qualify. But if whoever requested the list didn't tell the database that,
yeah. So,
We'll handle it.
so yeah, there's a handful, but it's one of my employees' little brothers got one, which is how I became aware of it. But I checked the precinct register, and you know the date, their birth dates are on the precinct registered list. That wasn't on the mailing list, and you know those names aren't on it. So they may submit a ballot, it's just not going to be valid.
Okay.
So those are the only issues, and both minor, I think, but that we've run into, and just lessons learned in terms of these weren't issues I ran into. The age thing I didn't run into in 2020, so it just happened. So
Well, I'm also surprised that the Wayne Lane thing hasn't come up in a previous election. If that was
yeah,
what was happening back in
yeah.
2020 or...
Because I mean, if they came to vote at a polling place, they would have been, no, you're not registered. You know, you're not on the precinct register.
It could be just a slip twixt the cup and the lip. If they came in to vote that day and we looked it up and determined that they were, then we forward on that information and whether anything got done with it or not.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
You know,
well,
that happens, clerical error.
yeah. So Diane has the address range now for what is in the city, and it's taken care of.
We had an
going
awful time
forward.
with Shaw Street like that because
Oh.
there was a section of Shaw Street that wasn't within the municipality. So,
Okay.
you know, you kind of, well, my next door neighbor gets to vote.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so my only other issue is we have to check, we have to proof the ballot envelope against the precinct register. Do we want to do that as individuals? Are you comfortable with getting a precinct register and comparing the precinct register with the ballot you have in front of it and marking it off?
With the voter envelope. Yeah. So you can like break them into groups.
Think about
I
it.
think so. And if anything comes up as a question, then we can consult.
With thousands, it will go a little
Yeah.
easier. If there's any question,
Yeah.
you know. We solved it at that time. My thing is to keep your packs as close to 50 as possible. You may see some. The only other thing I suggest is pieces of colored paper. Because if you've got all of your packs of 50 and you have to pull one because there was no signature on the ballot envelope, that now becomes 49. That really confuses things, where if you put a piece of paper in there to
Oh,
know
okay.
that you're one short,
So if we have to
you
pull
won't
a
be answering
ballot,
that same question 15 times.
we'll put a piece of paper in to kind of take the place of the ballot.
Ballot
Got
out,
it.
no signature, whatever. So that helps. You also have to decide. You can go through all 2,000 ballots and check them on the precinct roster before you start to open, which I find keeps things a little cleaner
Okay.
rather than trying to do 50 and separating 50
Yeah.
and pulling.
Okay.
I'm somebody that has to be a little more methodical than that.
Okay.
I lose track of
Yeah, and getting
what I've done and where I am, and
and breaking that up with the precinct register just gets to that next step faster.
yeah.
So will we each have a copy of the precinct register?
You'll have a section,
Okay.
Got it. That's right. Okay.
and then you will get your
Okay.
Yeah.
ballot envelope that is numerical that will match your section.
Okay.
So then the numbers on the envelope aren't going to be on the precinct register, but the numbers will at least get it in alphabetical order.
Right.
for then-
And then we can.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
Because alphabetizing is just like mentally challenging.
Anyhow,
Yes.
someone
G,
someone
F.
that worked for me that absolutely could not do it, and I'd look up, And he'd be sitting in a chair in the corner of my office and say, "Could you put this stuff back on?" He had worked for it. It just wasn't in there. You know, but we can do this.
The Dropbox seems to have a steady stream of people coming in. So I think it's
Excellent.
getting a lot more use than it did in 2020.
Good.
So,
Now, the outside mailback envelope does not have a number on it,
correct.
but we'll be getting the ballot envelope that does have a number, so we must put those in numerical order first.
Mhm.
Okay, so we don't want to do anything till we get them. Then, whatever packet you pull, usually the canvas person, and I'll kind of do that, is give you the packs that match, take back and put in in another place before we open. Mail trays are good for that.
We have several.
Yeah.
I'll
So
have
slow and
rubber
easy.
band, colored paper.
Yeah.
These chairs are more comfortable than what's in City Place.
That was awful. But it's slow and easy. And if you feel you're being rushed at all, or then we stop for a few minutes. There's nothing wrong with that.
Bring snacks of your
Well, and we'll bring
preference.
our water bottles that you
Yes,
gave us.
I can give you another one if you need another one.
Really shouldn't have any in anywhere around this. You spill
Yeah.
water on it, and you're
Yeah, we'll do.
We can
Yeah.
put them,
Table
yeah.
can be.
we can take breaks, But when you find you need one, say starting at 10 and breaking at 12.
That's not too bad.
Your 12 to 4 or 1 to 4 might be a little more, but maybe not. Depends. Yeah.
So on Wednesday, just to clarify, we are here at 10 a.m.,
Mhm.
not 8.
Yeah.
Staff's doing the
Okay.
act. God love them.
And we
Sure,
don't need to
lovely.
be here June 7th.
No, but you must
But
be on the other
I
end of
am-
your phone.
I am available, right.
Okay.
Any decisions have to be made by everyone on the board. There's nothing saying we have to come in here and convene. Just, Elizabeth can send out a text,
Yeah.
Okay.
here's what's going on,
Mhm.
or even a phone call. But, and any decisions that are made as an individual, you cannot say this is an overvote. All right? When you're going through your ballots, let's go with what's the first contested race?
Public safety.
Public safety. Okay. So we're on public safety. And we're separating those who voted what type scenario. If they have overvoted, which you oftentimes find, they have voted for both
Okay.
positions.
Okay.
You have 2 X's on it. Lay any exception like that aside. Because then when we're finished that office, then we have to unanimously say it can't be counted, it's an overvote. You're also going to have undervotes. That's that someone skipped it. Let's say for mayor, they didn't vote for anyone on mayor, and we're doing the mayor. Lay that aside, because when you're done, you want to be able to tally. There were 493 votes here. There were no write-ins. But wait a minute, I was supposed to have 502. I have 502 ballots to count. So in able to have an audit trail, you have to keep track. Now, after you get past that first race, everything goes back in the pot again because you're moving on to the second race.
Okay.
But you make everyone aware of the fact that, do you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Type scenario.
And then there's certain times if they write enough on the ballot that it is considered tampering with the ballot or at personal, like, vote for me, Liz Stallman is written on the ballot, then that becomes no good because it's.
Identifiable.
But the-
Okay.
So if the person identifies themselves on the ballot, we can't.
No, it's just, you don't have to identify yourself.
Well, no, you don't want to identify yourself.
Let's say I put a
but-
comment on it. They could then go and find their ballot. Because they know what they wrote on it. That makes that ballot identifiable.
Okay, this is my question. So are we saying we don't count those? Oh.
And their
You also don't
instructions.
count anything for a write-in that is
Yeah, that may have been on the
an unfound
instructions we all got.
write-in candidate.
Somewhere in my organized binder.
Well, I probably read it when I filled out my ballot.
Let's see. It's back.
I didn't pay much attention because, of course, I wasn't going to do that.
You know, you still want to, if there's a write-in and it's not
There
a
it
filed
is.
write-in candidate, you want to lay it aside
Mhm.
because you're going to need it to come up with your
Right.
other you know, you're not counting it.
Right.
So you're counting 493 ballots, but I need to find 7 more. So
But we
you have to
didn't
be-
have any writing candidates who were
Correct.
for any of the races,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so like, I mean, some will say Donald Duck on them.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
that's just,
We had a real
know.
big year of Bart Simpsons. It's probably the biggest I ever had.
Well, he's probably old enough to be running for mayor right now.
so in those instances when it's just a junk write-in candidate, but if they voted correctly for the other 4
Oh,
offices,
yeah,
you should count
of
the
course.
other 4.
It just eliminates the,
Yeah.
To protect the privacy of your vote, do not put your name, initials, or any identifying mark on your ballot.
Okay.
an
So-
identifying mark too can be
And then
a
does it
star.
say if you do it will not be
Yeah.
counted?
Nope.
Okay.
Just because you could
Like
go
I say,
in
I probably
and
read
find
that,
your
but-
ballot.
It's preceded by your vote for that office may not be counted.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry. I apologize because
No.
I read this, but
no, you're fine.
I need to be reminded of some of these things because now.
That's why you lay anything you have a question about aside.
Yeah.
Then everyone sits down and hashes through it.
Yeah. Okay.
And if necessary, you can always call for legal advice.
And who would we get legal advice from?
City attorney.
Okay.
And he's quite good on election laws.
And I'm so sorry. Who's our city attorney now?
Michael Cohen.
Oh, he still is. Okay.
Yeah, he's been around long enough. And oftentimes if there's a recount necessary, you could have a recount. We don't specify in our charter that if, you're hearing about it on TV, if it's within X number of percentage, you have an automatic recount. But you can have someone petition for a recount if they've lost by, let's say, 7 votes.
Yeah.
And it's all being done by humans.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility of human error, they may request a
Oh,
recount.
sure.
And
Can we
usually
pay
the-
someone else to do that for us?
Yeah.
Well, I think if it were that close, we'd want to do a recount anyway, right?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I know he wouldn't want to do it, but
No.
that's very close.
And you're also hoping it comes out to the
Mm-hmm.
What?
Or you're doing it again.
To 7. Yeah, you hope your recount's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
It doesn't always happen.
as we have seen.
Yeah. And, legally in the state of Maryland, if they want to recount, they have to petition the circuit court.
Okay.
It's nothing that we can decide. We've done it. We had one that was for mayor, 7 votes, and we just stayed.
Oh,
It was for machines. We just stayed that night and redid it because they were both very gracious about it, but that was entirely too close.
Mm-hmm.
It held with the same numbers, but
thank God, right?
okay. June the 8th, huh? 1 week, ladies.
Do you think the machine rental would be cheaper in the future if it's like not the intensity of it being on election day, but just counting mail-in ballots?
We'll find out.
Just,
Won't we?
yeah, I mean, I'm just, like the technical support and like that aspect is not
Very expensive.
Yeah, like because it has to work that day. But if you kept the same timeline that we have now, but just we're using the machine to do the counting, I wonder if there'd be a cost reduction.
It's the cost of your ballot,
Mm.
because it has to have been programmed to have the exact
Gotcha.
timing marks down the
Oh.
side, because they're read by timing marks. So you have to have someone that legitimately knows what they're doing. It has to be of a specific weight for that machine to pull it and count it. Those timing marks must be exact. And the only other thing that I ran into when I explored that is your small potatoes. There are elections occurring,
Yeah.
and there are only so many vendors out there. Well, they're not going to come somewhere that's going to have 4,000 votes as opposed to somewhere that's going to have 400,000. So to get your technical support, before when we had technical support, it was someone who had been my tech or something like that. So he was in county anyway,
Yeah, okay.
working on the county's election, so he was here, and they would graciously do it. But the printing of your ballots, the cost of paper, and that specific paper, and then someone to program, and you can't go with just one machine. You have to have one in a backup. So 2 machines have to be programmed.
So, out of curiosity, it would be much more expensive?
It's
Oh,
like
it was.
it in 2020 it was like $8 or $9 grand just to rent the machine.
Okay,
The postage and return postage and the printing and the materials for the printing was like the same cost as just renting the machine.
The other thing is you've got to pay staff. You have to have somebody there.
And trained staff and
yeah.
Who knows what they're doing with it.
And that's provided you can find someone to do it.
yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes those old era machines weren't so bad. You took the back off and read the numbers. They were starting to fail. Not vote totals, but the levers were starting to snap off because they were so old. We kept 1 or 2 of them for a while. Yeah, Frostburg. We used them for a couple of elections. It
You're
was
gonna
cheap.
put one in the museum?
Certain member of the House of Delegates wanted to sink them out at Rocky Gap to use them for divers for interest.
Right?
Said, we'll take those and dump them in Rocky Gap. But yes, okay.
All right.
We adjourn until 10 a.m. on the 8th.
Okay, thank you.
We're good?
Thank you, everybody. I'm starting to get excited.
It may be.
Why?